Now it's time to work and play, or play, depending what your perspective is. The very first technique I'm going to show you is the more popular one called the crocheter's preference, and this is the standard way of doing it. Most Tunisian crocheters, I believe, only know how to do this technique of starting their foundation piece. So we're going to begin with something called a slip knot. You take the end of your yarn and you drape it over your thumb, okay? And you take the active part, the one that's connected to your ball of yarn, and you drape it over your pointer finger. So here you can see that I have an end shape going around my thumb and my pointer finger. I'm going to pick up the loose end and I'm going to make an X. I'm just going to bring it over on top. And then I'm going to bring up, I'm going to go underneath by my wrist and I'm going to bring up the active yarn, pinch it, pull this loop down, and then tighten it. And that is my slip knot. Okay, so let's do it again. You take your loose end and you can drape it around so that your working end is coming away from your pointer finger and your loose end is coming away from your thumb. Okay, and then you take your loose end and you cross it over. Okay, and then you bring it up, your working end, to be pinched. So your loose end is here, your working end is right here, and you bring the circle over, you grab the two ends, and you pull it tight, okay? You take your hook, and you can pull it tight. There we go. And now we're going to begin working on our chains. To make our foundation row, we're going to make a chain as you would a standard crochet pattern. In this case, our swatch is going to be 10 stitches long. So we are going to make 10 chains. So I'm going to do a yarn over. Now, when you do a yarn over, you come from the back and you bring it to the front. I know sometimes it gets kind of confusing when a lot of people want to go like this when they begin, but you want your working end to come from the back of your work and be draped over until they are at the front, okay? Oh, and another thing, when you're holding it, a lot of crocheters like to hold their yarn like this at the very tip. This helps control your tension as you're working along. For me, I kind of have twisted fingers, so I hold it at the back a little bit more in order to control my tension and my gauge. So here I'm going to do a yarn over and pull through the loop, yarn over, pull through the loop, and that creates this very basic chain. And we are going to do 10 of them, okay? Now you can tell how many you've done by how many of these little circular items. You can kind of see these little chains. There's 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3. So I'm going to do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Here I have a chain of 10, and I will count it with you to verify. You can lay it out like this, and you can choose which side of your chain that you want to count. The important part is that you just pick a side and stick with it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 10 chains that are done. Now, when I do my Tunisian crochet pieces, I like to pick up from the back loop. So here you have the front of your chains. It's nice, you can see 2 edges. The back loop on this back part are the strings in the middle that connect the 2 chains together, okay? So this is where we're going to be picking up our stitches. Now, because we already have a loop on our hook, this stitch is going to be considered the same stitch that you'd work from this back loop. So we are actually going to skip this very first back loop, and we are going to pick up from our second back loop. And when we do that, we hold our piece and we go from the front to the back. So from the front, I insert my hook into the second back loop from my hook. Okay, so there you can see I have the first back loop, which is right here, and this is the second back loop. Now I'm going to do a yarn over. So I go from the back to the front and I pull it through one, and one only, because we are working on our foundation chain, so we need to end up with 10 stitches on our hook. Now we're going to go to this next back loop. You can see it right here. I'm going to enter it from the front to the back, yarn over and pull it through just that back loop, and I'm going to continue doing that all the way down my chain. Okay, front to back, yarn over, pull all the way through the back loop only. Okay, and so this picks up each of the stitches that we are going to need in order to complete our swatch. Okay, now just to verify, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 10 stitches on my hook. Earlier we talked about this being similar to a backwards or an upside down typewriter, and so now this is the part where we want to make sure that we bring up our return pass to be equal to what we're going to be working on for our next row. So I'm going to do a yarn over and I'm going to chain one, which is the same as pulling through one loop, and this one is our last or ending edge stitch. And every time we do this ending edge stitch, we're going to do a chain one. Then we're going to do a yarn over and pull through two. So we're going to pull this through two of the loops on our hook. And you can see here, this what's on my hook currently is my active yarn. And we have two loops that come off of it. Active yarn, two loops, okay? We're going to do that again. Yarn over, and we're going to pull it through two, okay? And you can see the two loops that are on my active yarn, and we're going to do the yarn over, pull through two, all the way back, and that is our return pass, okay? Pull through two, yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, pull through two. There we go, yarn over, pull through two. And now I have one loop left on my hook, and you have completed your very first foundation row in Tunisian crochet. Great job.